podcast. We're so glad you're here. We're your hosts, Natasha and Lindsey.
Hey.
Hello, long time no see.
I mean, I would say I'm proud of us because already in 2026, we have seen a lot of each other.
Yeah, we've hung out 2 times in a month. That
That's
never
like
happens.
record breaking since I've moved. When we lived in the same
It's
area,
true.
that was like common. It was 2 or 3 times in the week.
Yeah.
But since I've moved,
Right.
I think that's pretty good for us.
It's pretty rare.
So last weekend we were able to take a sourdough making class, and I thought that was so much fun.
Yeah, that was such a good time. I really enjoyed it. I've never tried sourdough, but you had before.
Caveat, I've tried with the starter. I've never successfully made a loaf of bread because I'm as good with sourdough as I am with plants, apparently. And so, but here's the thing. I wanted to try again with someone with expertise because I didn't know what the heck I was doing. And she gave a lot of helpful tips at this class and things that I was doing wrong. I had no idea. So sometimes knowing is half the
fair.
battle.
That's true. She really did teach us a lot. Like, I really felt like I went away feeling confident that I could make a sourdough starter, let alone bread. I just wanted to be successful at a starter.
Yeah, same. And she was so down to earth and relatable with like, so you mess up a little bit, bake it anyway, you know? And that made it feel much more approachable and not overwhelming because there are some things out there that just make it feel so overwhelming that I didn't feel like it was too much, like I could handle it.
Yeah, like some of the Facebook groups, there's like sourdough police. And we joked before this call that we haven't fed our sourdoughs yet. And I feel like the sourdough community that take this very serious, love that. It couldn't be me. It just couldn't be me.
And that's what she said in the class. That was great. It was like, hey, you can do this for fun and just, you know, and if you want to, you could totally geek out and go down that hole. And I like that she said, or you could just make something edible. And that's the camp I'm
Yeah,
in. I just want to make something edible.
right.
And I
If I
wanted
can
to,
bake one loaf of bread and be successful, great.
right? That's basically where I'm at. Like, if we can get the starters to come to life and keep it
Mhm.
alive, my children don't have very much faith that I can because they watched me kill 2 of them. So um, I told them this time is different and I'm going to keep it alive. So I got to stick to that so I can keep my word.
And you're doing great. Is this the longest that you've kept it alive? It's been a week, so.
um, no, I had one a little bit longer because it was in the fridge and then I'd feed it and then I took it out of the fridge. See, I didn't know what I was doing. I just like would feed it. So then it was getting really big and I had this gigantic jar full of starter
Mhm.
that eventually ended up growing mold because I didn't know that you're supposed to like discard stuff. I just thought you could kind of collect it and make it this really big thing and then pull from it when you wanted to bake it. And that's not what you do. So here we are.
Fair. Now you know. The more you know.
Sometimes it's all you need is to know more.
Yeah. I think so. We learned a lot about it, the discarding and the feeding it and like nourishing it and making sure that we're giving it the attention that it deserves.
And that ties in, I think, a lot to friendship, right? Like we have to spend time with our friends, we have to nurture the relationship, and we have to water it, by doing those things consistently. And, for the starter, we have to feed it at the same time every day. And we try our best to do that. And sometimes we do, and sometimes we don't. So we have to like ebb and flow with it. Um, and I think that has a lot to do with the relationships that we have in our life, whether they're platonic friendships or they're romantic relationships or family. All of them require nurturing and consistency.
Yeah, I think that it's easy to take it for granted that just because you're in a relationship with a person doesn't give you the free pass to just kind of not put the effort into it, right? And so I think with like we talk about sourdough, like we have to put the effort in, we have to be consistent with it. And I think when it comes to people relationships, like feeding and building them, it's so easy once you get to like that stage of you know that you're friends or you know their family or you know it's your partner, that the temptation is there to kind of give it slack a little bit and not invest into it. And so I was thinking about like the sourdough and like how that's relatable to it is um like when we're discarding it and giving it what it needs, it's easy to like be like, oh, if I just go a little longer, it'll be fine. Or if I just give it a day, it'll be fine. But really, like it's such a sensitive thing. You really can't give it that extra day. It has to like have a schedule so that it does what it needs to do. And I think that that's like consistency in friendships. Like if we start kind of slacking in those relationships and the communication, then completely, then it's just going to become stale and not really a relationship at all.
Yeah, I was just gonna say too, when you were talking about like not being consistent, like how often does that start to break down communication when you're not consistently communicating, right? Like you're not checking in, you're not saying hi, how are you? Even just the little ones, right? And how quick that can deteriorate the relationship, and you can lose you can lose so much ground in a very short amount of time. And then that's when like the insecurity kind of starts to like creep in, and like short responses are read into to be something they're not, or maybe it's like the period at the end of the sentence and you're like, oh no, she must be so mad at me, and like you're trying to figure out what it means, but you haven't had that
Mm-hmm.
time to like understand where the other person's coming from because you're not communicating regularly. And that's when the breakdown starts to happen. And I think it's important that we're investing in our relationships consistently. And that looks like a lot of different things, but it can that slip can happen really fast.
That's true. I experienced that a little bit this week in one of my relationships. We were texting back and forth, and I made a statement, but the statement wasn't just like a done statement. There could have been follow up by the person that was like in communication. And if I didn't know this person and we didn't have constant communication together, I probably would have been really offended by this. But they sent like a thumbs up. And that's like a no for me. Just don't hit the thumbs up. Like say, okay, cool, anything, but a thumbs up and a dot, dot, dot. And I'm fine. But because I know this person and I know how distracted they were and what their week consisted of, because we had communicated beforehand that it would be kind of a distant week because they were traveling, that thumbs up could have went a really long way for me in that moment. But like knowing the behind, right, and communicating beforehand helped not spiral out of control when I just get a thumbs up.
Yeah, for sure. That's so funny.
I had a boss who was like that, and I really had to learn his communication style because he would just respond with thumbs up or okay, dot, dot, dot. And I was way too insecure in my 20s for that.
Dot 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 does not mean good things. Like why? Like let's not communicate with that.
Yeah, I think it's a generational thing too. Like he's like got 20, 25 years on me, but yeah,
Because
I
in my
agree.
mind, I would read that as okay.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
and what's next, right? Like, what else are you gonna
Right.
say? Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Or you're really mad at me.
Okay. Dot dot dot.
Yeah, that's how I read it. Like, oh, okay. Yikes.
My son makes fun of me because he's like, Mom, I know you're a millennial mom because of how you text. And I was like, what? And because I think, responding to a message that you had sent me, and I said me too, but I spelled two with like so many O's. And he was like, you're a
Mhm.
millennial mom. And I was like, what does that even mean? And also, how do you even know what that is? Like,
Right.
you're 10. Sit down. Like,
Wow.
so
That's
that
so
makes me feel
funny.
old and like I don't know the current lingo, so that's fine. I don't
Yeah.
understand that. But anyway. I guess that's
I said, I don't think I want to.
no, I don't have the capacity for that.
Yeah, yeah. Um, Another thing I was thinking about with the sourdough, my thoughts are a little all over the place, so just bear with me while I knock this one out of the park tonight.
I'm with you. I'm with
Um,
you.
is that the more consistent we are, right? That like we're going to get this product at the end, whether it's edible or not. It might turn out really, really messy, but that's relationships too, right? Like the more we get to know each other in the process, like we know that the end goal is to come out to something beautiful, but it might come out messy at the same time because we're imperfect people trying to manage this life together, and it's not always the prettiest of things. But even in that, like you learn something, right? Like our first time baking sourdough, this might come out terrible. Like she gave the different examples of like, okay, like this wasn't, I forget the terminology, so whatever, but this isn't like the perfect. It was
It
too
wasn't proofed correctly.
exactly. It was
Yeah.
overproofed. And so we
Yeah.
might get like the overproofed bread, right? But then like that gives us the ability to go back, or if it was underproofed, and figure out what we did wrong and go from there. And relationships get sticky like that where we don't communicate the best. And to your point, like this being a reminder that we have to invest into the relationships, there are going to be those weeks that we're busy and we don't do a good job at it. And that's like the reminder that, oh, maybe I underproofed, or maybe I over spoke on something and I need to go back and like realize like maybe that wasn't the best approach to something. So that's just something that I thought was a relatable or interesting thought process.
Yeah, and I think too, when we're talking about like overproofing and underproofing, like sometimes there's seasons where we're not communicating well, and it's not because of anything the other person has done, but maybe we're just in a spot where like communicating's hard, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like sending the text message. Maybe you don't have the social battery to do an outing, right? And maybe you used to do that, and that's how you based your relationship was that like we do all of these things, and maybe that's just not the season you're in anymore. So how do you navigate that part of it? How do you still invest in the relationship even when it looks different, right? And
Mm-hmm.
I think that's where the ebbing and the flowing and the not taking it too seriously in the sense, and what I mean by that is, you can't hold tight to things that have to be fluid. And and so a lot of times in relationships we kind of have to go with what's happening in life. And sometimes that means we're there for it, and other times it might be a quieter season, but that doesn't mean anything bad has happened. It could just be that's where we are.
Yeah. I listen to a lot of podcasts about relationship building, specifically like in the dating relational world of things. Um, and one thing that they say a lot, and I think this can be relevant to friendship too, is that there are going to be days that your partner can't put in it's you're 100% and they're 100%, and there are going to be days that they can't meet you at 100%, right? And so like they might come in at 50% and you might have to make up that other 50%. And I think in friendship that can be true too, that I might have a really bad week and a really off week. That was my week last week. Just a lot of events took place in a very short amount of time. And my evenings was literally putting on reruns of Big Brother and vegging out in front of the TV because that's what my brain needed was something familiar and consistent that took me away from my reality of my current world. Because current world was hard last week. But I probably could only give my relationships last week 20% of my time, like of my energy. And having a friend that could pick up the other, you know, 80% of that and just be there and say, wow, that was really tough was important to me. Like our conversations throughout the week meant a lot because it was just a space where I could say, like, this is hard and probably one of the hardest weeks in human resources that I've ever worked in. And it
Yeah.
was nice just having someone that could say, yeah, that sounds tough, and meet me where I was at in the moment.
Yeah. And I did something similar this weekend. I have a friend, we're very long distance. She lives in another state, and um, we only communicate with WhatsApp, and
Mhm.
and a lot of times it's just through like voice messages, and usually they're like 10 minutes long, and we kind of catch each other up on life. And she sent me one, in like November and I never responded to it. It was like right before the Christmas holiday season, and I knew it was there, and I was like, I'll get to that. And I never did. And then she sent me one this week. And finally, I was like driving today. So I responded to her and I said, I'm sorry I never got back to you, but I didn't have the social battery to like, you know, how sometimes things are really easy, and then other times you're like, nope, it's not
Mm,
happening. And for whatever reason, that holiday season just kind of crept up on us and trying to keep up with everything that was happening, even though it's just a short little voice note to be like, hey, we're doing great. Holidays are here. We're busy. Like, I didn't have the capacity for that. And so she's always gracious and kind to, we always just pick up where we leave off. And I'm really grateful for that. But having someone that you can go to and, you know, like that's just how our relationship is. We don't talk all the time. We can go 6 months without talking at all and be like, "Oh, hey, I remembered. I needed to tell you this thing, right?" And sometimes you just need that friend that like out of the blue, you're like, "Hey, I'm still alive over here. Things are great or they're not great." And you just kind of leave it at that. And so,
mm-hmm.
um I think though it kind of just depends on the person, right? But, like having space for you to be able to grieve what was happening and walk through that in a hard time, having the friend that can, you know, pick up and we just kind of go with what we've got. I think all of those things in that spectrum of where you're at in life are all really helpful. And it takes a different level of nurturing. And for my friend that, we were in college together. So, like, we have a foundational aspect of our relationship that was from years ago. And we've just kind of carried it through the years. And um, it's been helpful to have, like, now that we're in a very different stage of life. She has young kids. My boys are a bit older than her kids. Um, but like parenting and everything about our life has changed significantly. So to be able to nurture something kind of like a sourdough that, like, even if you go a long time, it still can be nurtured and brought back to life. Um, yeah, I think it's good.
Yeah, no, that's so good and so important. I think for any relationship, honestly, like you have to be okay that people aren't going to be able to give you 100% of who they are all the time, and that there are going to be moments where you have to meet them halfway. Now, I don't think that excuses, right? So to the sourdough, if I went a week without feeding my sourdough, it's probably going to be real funky over there and not good, right? And I don't think that friendships need to be every week. Like you said, it could be 6 months and you know that you've built that relationship with the other person. And I think it's all about nurturing the relationship and knowing the boundaries of what that relationship needs for nurturing. Like, I love my plants. I know if I overwater one of my succulents, it is going to die. And it is a 1 month succulent. I don't know how to describe, like, all of my other plants are 2 weeks, but this one succulent, we have a deal that once a month I will water it and it will be happy. And that is fine. Um, it's small, and maybe that's why, but it's temperamental if I give it more water than that. And I think, like, relationships can ebb and flow like that. It's all about the boundary lines of which you've established with that friend. But if you know that that friend's walking through a hard season and needs a little bit more of your attention, and you have the capacity to do that, but
Mhm,
if you don't communicate, hey, I'm thinking about you, I'm going through my own personal stuff, and you should be able to do that in a solid friendship, right? Like, you should be able to be like, I know you're walking through a hard time. I'm walking through a hard time. Know that I'm here and I love you. We're going to get through this together. And maybe you can't lean on each other and you lean on other people around you, but you
mhm,
still find a moment to let that person know, I'm here and I know it's been rough. That can go way further than just even in your own capacities not reaching out at all. And it takes two to tango that way, I think.
oh, 100%. And it kind of comes back to communication, right? Like you just have to figure that out by communicating,
Mhm.
and and expectations,
And I
I
think,
think, play into that too. What were you gonna say?
mhm. I was gonna say that too, right? Like, I think if we go in to relationships, understanding the expectations of each other. And we're going to be talking a lot more about that coming up, which I'm really excited about, how
I'm
like our
so pumped for
communication
our next
styles.
series. Yeah.
I think it'll be great. Um, yeah, I agree. Right. Like just setting those expectations and understanding the bounds of them. But also, like, we've talked about this a lot with like cancel culture and stuff, not taking it that serious if you haven't heard from that person. Like, as much as if they're going through a hard time, maybe they're not reaching out to you and you're going through a hard time. If you start feeling that ick in your soul about, are we okay? Are we good? Don't just let that grow, because it will root in your head and be like, well, they're not reaching out to me, why should I reach out to them? No, reach out to them. If it is something that you cherish, send the text, make the call, because maybe they're going through a hard time and they just haven't had the capacity. But if it's on your mind and weighing you down, they deserve the text as opposed to the cutoff, and you deserve the text as opposed to just cutting them off. It doesn't do any good.
Yeah. No, I couldn't agree with that more. And it goes a long way. Like sometimes we think we're just saying hi, but like you said, if they're down or not having the capacity to reach out, sometimes it's what they need for their to like lift their spirits or to remind them that they're not alone and that somebody is thinking about them and cares for them. And I just think that that is really important. There's this woman that I know. She attends our church and she is one of the most lovely little ladies. And I call her little because she's a little bit shorter than me. And um, I
And
was,
for the record, that's really short. I'm just kidding.
as if you have anything to say, Lindsay, you're only like 5'3", calling me
Yeah,
short.
I got an inch on you. It's fine.
I'm only 5 feet. So you've got 2 or 3. So
There
rude.
you go. I got three.
Wow.
Yeah.
Shots fired. And that is the end of tonight. No, I'm just kidding. um,
No more podcasts. We're off the air.
we are no longer two main friends because
One main divorce in a podcast. Okay.
tune in next year when we try to reestablish what it can look like. Guys, it's after 7 o'clock, so while we're recording, so all bets are off.
It's true. It's true.
Um, anyway, I lost my train of thought. So,
The
it,
woman at your church.
yeah, she is in her 70s, and I love her dearly. And I check in with her on a weekly basis, and it is an honor to be able to say that I'm her friend. And I was invited to her birthday. She decided last year that for her birthday, she didn't want to do anything, but she wanted to invite certain people out for lunch. And so we all went out for lunch, and it was the sweetest. Oh, hopefully not get emotional. It was the sweetest thing I've ever seen to have somebody with that much age experience of life and has walked through some great tragedies and really hard things and has still such a soft, sweet spirit. And to see the different like levels of friendship that she had with all of the women around the table and how she nurtured them and cultivated these relationships over sometimes decades, over a few years for some of us. And she went around the table and she talked about each and every person at the table and why they meant something to her and how they blessed her life. And it's her birthday. I don't think that there was a dry eye at the table. Um, but I remember sitting there and I was like, this is what I want to be when I grow up. Like to have good solid friendships that at the near the end of my life when my kids have been grown and to look back and say these are the people that mean the most to me. And these are the people that we've walked through tragedy and hardship and good times and celebrations. And together we've cultivated this beautiful thing. And I don't know, I just left really encouraged and like also honored to be there. It was a huge honor. And I cherish her. Like I just think of her in such a very fond way. Like she's very kind, and I just, if there's anything that I could like, there's so many things that I glean from her all the time, but that's something that I really appreciated about that whole experience was over the course of decades, like understanding what each person, how they brought value to life. And if I want to end my life with anything, that's what I want it to be, to add value to other people and cultivate good relationships so that they can walk away from the lunch going, wow, I'm honored to be her friend,
Yeah,
you know?
that's so good. Oh, I got like goosies on that one, little goosebumps. Oh, that's
Yeah.
beautiful. And she probably walked away from that lunch feeling so fulfilled too. Like just knowing that she has all those amazing people around a table that she gets to say that she gets to love and knows that they love her back. Like, oh, it just makes me so happy. I love that.
Yeah. It
Yeah.
is great.
Yeah. I I think that this is so off topic from what we're talking about with nurturing friendships, but I can't go without hearing a story like that without saying it is so important for all generations to befriend other generations, whether it's in a mentorship type relationship or that sort of friendship and relationship. Like I think that I think the younger generation can mentor me as someone who's older, right? Like, I think that we have so much to offer each other, and it's so important to build those connections and relationships because we're constantly learning and we can't learn we can learn just by going through our day to day. But I just think that, like, we can learn so much more by having community of people in all stages of life around us. I know for me, like, um, someone that I am close to, she's in her mid 20s and I learn so much from her on a day-to-day basis and I love her. Like, she teaches me a lot. She challenges me a lot. I don't agree all the time and she doesn't agree with me all the time, but like it's good, right? Like we aren't if we agreed all the time, it would be a really boring world, honestly, and a really boring life. And we should challenge each other and challenge our ways of thinking and stuff. And I really appreciate that about that relationship. So, yeah, that's just my plug for put yourself out there and don't only be secluded to the people that match your age group or your circumstances in life, even. Like, one of my favorite things about our relationship is we're in two totally different places in life, but I've gleaned a lot and learned a lot from you being a wife and you being a mother and like things that I take away from watching you with your family that one day if I'm lucky enough to be in that situation that I want to bring into my world, right? And so I think those things are so important.
Yeah. And I think the older that I get, the more that I value the input and the voices of the people that have gone on before me. Like when I was in my 20s,
Mhm.
I don't know that I acknowledged how important it was. Like, sure, yeah, like they know more stuff than me. Like, I get it. In my 20s, I think I was just running so fast that I don't think I'd like stop to really recognize it or see it. But
Mhm.
now, like, I don't know. I love hearing stories from a long time ago. I love hearing how people have overcome things and like how they've like walked through things and they still love the Lord. And I don't know, I just love it. And I think that we have so much that we can glean from them. And they're so willing to just share it. Like they just want someone to listen.
They want
Honestly,
to. Yeah.
they
Yeah.
would love to share it if we just ask because they don't always necessarily think that they don't think that we care to know.
Yep.
And so if we ask them like, "Hey, how did you raise two boys?" Or how did you cultivate all of these relationships over time? And they will happily sit down and tell you.
Yeah. And it's relatable. There's nothing new under the sun. And I truly believe that. Like maybe their style was a little bit different, but there's still something to learn. There's always something we can take from any person we come in contact with. I really believe that. I was lucky enough that I had my Nana as one of my favorite human beings. So I early on recognized the importance of her generation and the things that her friends who were constantly in and out of her house when I lived with her. I learned so much from each of those ladies, and I'm so thankful for that time. Um, So that's probably why I'm so passionate about it, because I truly believe
Yeah.
that. But that's not what this episode's about. So I could talk forever. And Zoom is going to cut us off soon.
It's
I
true.
think
It's
to wrap it up, I think wrapping it up really just nurturing, right? Like go out and think about the relationships that you currently have, and are you nurturing them? Have you talked about expectations and what nurturing should look like for that relationship? Maybe you need to pull it back. Maybe you need to give a little bit more and really evaluate like where you are. This is a great time going into the new year. And maybe you don't have the solid relationships that you want to have. Maybe there's that person that you're like, oh, I knew I should have reached out to them and you haven't yet. Do it.
there's still
This is
time.
your We've talked about probably this topic in the past, but I think it's a new year. I feel like it's just so important that we remind ourselves that it takes two to make anything in a relationship grow. That's a wrap on this episode of Two Main Friends in a Podcast. Follow us on Facebook or Instagram. You can also send us an email at twomainfriends@gmail.com. And as always, leave us a review wherever you're listening.